Welcome to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita, NAMI Kansas, and KSN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are the largest grassroots advocacy network for people with mental illness and their family members, by people with mental illness and their family members. With over 800 national affiliates and 15 Kansas affiliates, we provide awareness, support, education, and advocacy for people affected by mental illness and working to be in recovery with mental illness. Our purpose here is to provide a community conversation on KSN Radio that provides insight into what it's like to live with a mental illness. Our intention and hope is that this program will change attitudes, assumptions, stereotypes about people that are dealing with a mental health condition. So my name is Andy Martin. I'm the Director of Communications and Development for NAMI Kansas. I work in Topeka, but I'm really enjoying being here in Wichita to help support this work. I am a person in recovery for general anxiety, a mental illness. Like everyone else, I struggle with stress and the challenges of everyday life and being fully human. But, I'm doing okay. And I know that I have many gifts to offer my family, my work, my friends, and my community. And that's the kind of work that we're doing with NAMI Kansas. I want to introduce you all to my new friend, Jody King. Hi, Jody.
Hi, Andy.
Oh, wow. It's so nice to have you here today.
Thank you very much.
What would you normally be doing on a afternoon in the summer in Kansas?
Well, it's about 4:30 right now. I would be heading home from Breakthrough Club.
So, okay. So, you normally spend time at Breakthrough Club every day?
Monday through Friday, I do.
That's great. And if you could help us get to know you a little bit, you live here in Wichita.
Yes, I do.
I understand you grew up in a great little town called Winfield, Kansas.
Yes, I did.
That's where I grew up too. So
I lived there for 18 years, went to college in Emporia, and then started teaching.
Oh my gosh, so it would have been what, elementary, secondary school?
Elementary special education.
So, wow, when do you start realizing that you might have some challenges that maybe other people didn't have in terms of
Teenage years.
Would you have ever thought that you had a mental illness?
Yes.
Yeah, you did?
Mm-hmm.
But was there a particular break point for you or an incident that really kind of crystallized it for you?
No, I just always knew that I wasn't lockstep with everybody else. I was always off to the side, wanting to join in.
Right.
Not being part of the group.
Right. So, when would have been the first time you really had a healthcare provider or maybe a mental health provider that you have been working with that would have said, yeah, this is what, from a mental health perspective, we would call this diagnosis?
Well, I wasn't given my diagnosis then, but when I was 17, I had a very serious head injury. And as part of the head injury recovery, I had to see a psychologist to be evaluated if I could return to public education in high school. So I was dealing with professionals then.
But you don't really feel like that was when you got a diagnosis for some of your mental health challenges?
No, that was not when I got diagnosed.
So in terms of a brain disorder, or that would be kind of like any other illness. It's like heart disease or diabetes or asthma. You don't get that mental health diagnosis till like your late 20s?
Yes, that would be about correct.
And you would have been teaching at the time? Was
Yes.
that true?
Mm-hmm.
And what was your actual diagnosis?
Bipolar type 2.
So help us understand what that means to you.
Well, I don't go into full-blown manias. I am on the depressive edge of the spectrum. I go into very, very severe depressions. I have been hospitalized 5 different times for depression. Nowadays, you have to be really, really, really seriously depressed for insurance to pay for a hospitalization.
Right. So, the type 2 means what?
Type 2 is not as severe, and it's the low edge. It's not the high, very typical manic.
Got it. Okay. So
I don't have the euphoria type things.
Right.
I am in the pits.
Well, we're not in the pits here now, so thank you for telling us a little bit about your story. We're going to take a little break now, and we'll be right back to continue Our Own Voice in Wichita, Kansas. Welcome back to Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio. I'm enjoying a conversation with our guest, Jody King, who was just talking about her diagnosis of bipolar type 2. And what I'd like to kind of focus our conversation on now for our listeners is to help them understand what it's like to live with bipolar type 2, and kind of getting past the clinical diagnosis. I mean, that you're not your diagnosis, but what does it mean? How do you experience that? Like even today here in the studio right now, what are you experiencing?
Okay. Normally, I am just now recovering. As of last week, I had already mentioned this in passing to one of our other members, that I had just gotten back to attending the club activities last week for the first time since January, which would be like 4 months.
Wow.
I had not been out of the house other than to go to doctor's appointments. I do not want to eat when I'm depressed. My husband makes sure that I eat at least 1 meal a day. He forgot about it last year, and I lost 40 pounds during one of my depressive episodes. So he makes sure I eat at least once a day. I have no interest in food, and that's not my typical. I typically eat everything. And
so when you're kind of in that down, depressive kind of swing in your life, you really are isolated.
yes, I have no interest in anything. I cannot make any decisions. I choose not to make decisions. I have not been driving for the last 2 years because I don't feel safe in the decisions I make when I'm driving.
So was it hard to make a decision to come here today?
No, not really. I trusted the people that asked me to go, that it was going to be a safe environment.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've learned in talking with you today is that you've actually taken the NAMI peer-to-peer class.
Yes, I have.
When did that happen in your recovery? Was that a long time ago? Is that
No, I took the class about 3 years ago.
So what do you remember about that class? How did that help you? Was it a helpful class for you?
It was basically a restatement of a lot of information that I had already gleaned on my own.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel like it was helpful for you in your recovery?
It was a good recounting.
Did you make some connections with other people that were struggling with their mental illness in that process too?
Yes, I had known some of them that were there before, and I met some new people. It was not a very long engagement time, and I wrote down a few numbers, but I don't have them anymore.
So, when you talk with other people in your everyday life, and whether it's your family, well, let's even so when you talk with your family, do you talk much about your mental illness?
No, I don't. My family consists of my husband. We've been married almost 40 years, so
Yay.
he knows pretty much about my mental illness. He's lived with me for a long time.
Yeah. So, does he help you with medication and that kind of stuff, or do you take responsibility
Yes,
for that?
he helps me keep track of my medications. I have asked him, and he has agreed to line up my pills in a pill bar. Do 3 pill bars a day. One for the morning. I set it out all week long. There are pill bars that have 7 compartments, one for each day. And I do 1 bar for the morning, 1 bar for the midday, and 1 bar for the evening and night.
Yeah. So, do you notice things differently if you skip a med or skip one of those blocks at a time?
I cannot honestly say that I have. I just recently, during my last depressive state, was not taking my medications for the first time in my life. I went without medications. I couldn't afford my meds, and I thought I would try to go without them. I was.
So, we're going to hold right here. We're going to take another little break and back to our own voice in just a minute.
If you would like to learn more about the National Alliance on Mental Illness and how you can get involved in mental health advocacy, please visit our website at nami.org.
Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership for mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Kansas, NAMI Wichita, and KSUN Community Radio. I'm here with my friend Jody King, and we're talking about what it's like to live with mental illness and how do you keep positive in your depression? How do you accept the depression in your everyday life, Jody?
When I'm depressed, I don't stay positive. That's
Yeah.
the point of it. That's why it's called depression.
So how do
Because
you
I'm
handle that?
totally negative when I'm depressed.
Yeah. So what?
And everything is doom and gloom. I know nobody likes me. Nobody can stand me. My husband is just stuck with me.
So
when
how
I'm
do you handle
depressed.
that? What do you do? Does it help to be with other people? Or does it help to?
When I am depressed, I cannot get out of my bedroom.
Wow.
I know it's not healthy. I know I'm isolating. I know my head tells me what I know, what I have studied in the past, that I need to be engaging with other people, that I need to get out and do activities and motivate my brain. I know, headwise, all of this other good information, but I don't have the capacity, the mental oomph to get out and do what I know I should do for myself.
So what is it that moves you out of that dark season and the dark days and how do you move out of that? What is there anything that you have found helpful in terms of your recovery plan or things that you asked your husband to do or other than your medication and eating and sleeping?
Well, my husband says he cannot do it for me. He helps me in so many ways, but it's something I have to do for myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to put the burden on him to do it for me. I know that, and I have just lost track of your question.
It's okay. Um, what helps you kind of break the cycle, kind of get out of the depression?
Basically, it's just the passage of time. I know my head knowledge tells me that I will get out of this seemingly never ending cycle of depression. I've been through this for so many years. I have always come out of it in the past. I see no real reason that I should think that I won't come out of it again this time.
Wow. So, what what caused you to make the decision that you were ready to go back to Breakthrough Club? How did you decide that you were ready to start? You had been gone for 4 months.
I was just so miserable
Mm-hmm.
at home,
And
doing nothing,
so,
vegetating, feeling guilty for
so,
being just a bump on the face of the earth,
so how
not
did?
contributing at all. And I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're fine. What? So, what was it? One day you just woke up and said, "Okay, I'm going to go to Breakthrough," or how did that happen?
Well, I think it was probably like a 3-day gradual improvement, each day a little better.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I needed to go. And I had been trying to force myself for so long to go that any small impetus I had to get out, I latched onto.
Okay. So, what was it? So, what is it that keeps you coming back to Breakthrough Club?
I need social interaction.
Hmm.
I do not do well when I am just dealing with my husband and I.
No, sorry.
That's okay.
I was thinking thoughtfully. I wasn't sending you a
That's
message
fine.
to
That's
stop
fine.
talking. It's that you recognize that the social interaction of Break the Club and the opportunities that they give you. Is there part of your work at Breakthrough Club that you find most enjoyable? Is there an activity that you like to do each week?
I enjoy most the social interaction, trying to help people, talk with them, communicate, see if there's any way that we can brainstorm problems of theirs or something like
So
that.
it's really trying to help other people.
Yes.
That kind of gives you the
I am a
courage.
people helper.
Yeah. Wow, that's a beautiful example of taking your pain and hurt and sorrow and
I
turning it
need
into something positive that you can bring joy and then keeps you coming back.
In my life, I need to see something tangible to see that I am contributing to society by my life.
Well, thank you, Jody, for being here today. We're going to take our final break and be back with our own voice.
Okay.
This is Our Own Voice, and I'm sitting here with my friend Jody, and we both have a mental illness. I have anxiety. Jody has a severe depression with bipolar disorder. And what I wanted to maybe just talk a little more about here in this segment was some key parts of your recovery plan, or things that help you once you're kind of out of that depressive state, that keep you positive, even though that may not be a natural kind of feeling for you. So I know that in my experience, exercise has been helpful. Do you use exercise to help you?
Yes, I do. It is extremely important. When I am down, when I'm so depressed, I don't do anything. I need the endorphins that exercise provides for me, that go to power. Exercise is vital.
Is there a favorite thing you like to do exercise-wise?
I do a lot of treadmill work at Breakthrough Club. I love to do aerobics to music with people.
Yeah.
I like step class. I love a lot of group interaction.
So group
Exercise
dances
classes,
and
yes.
yeah. So do you find that when you exercise, you're more hungry, that you want to eat, or do you make that association?
I want to eat in time.
Okay, so once you're kind of out of that downtime, the down cycle, it's really pretty easy for
Yes.
you to eat.
Yes.
It doesn't have to. And
I weighed 160 pounds when I was in 4th grade.
wow, so you do.
So
You
I
look
need-
fabulous, darling.
I need to exercise.
You're not 160 today.
No, I'm a size 10.
That's fantastic. So, I guess where does sleep fit into your recovery plan? Do you find it difficult to sleep? Is sleep a hard
Yes,
time for you?
I do. I find it difficult to sleep, but I want to just sleep away the days. I don't want to be awake. I just want to, basically, I want to sleep and not wake up.
Yeah. So, how do you manage that in terms of, do you try to go to bed at the same time and make sure you've
Yes,
got an alarm?
I try to make sure that I keep my sleep cycle regular. I try very hard to be in bed by 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and I get up between 7:30 and 8 o'clock every day, if not earlier.
Right. So, are there other things that you would say are an important part of your day-to-day recovery, that other
Yes.
than Breakthrough Club and the socialization there?
Well, I was going to say the other things are the social interactions are very important to me. Having a sense of purpose is very important to me. I need to be doing something with my life. I need to have a purpose.
Do do phone calls help you? Do you talk on the phone much with people? Is that a way that you stay connected?
When I'm down, I don't. I can't think of anything to say. I like to get phone calls, but I'm like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Very nonverbal responsively.
That was beautiful. I've found in my recovery that my phone is one of my best therapists, because I can, if I'm feeling triggered or something's kind of causing me a lot of pain, that I can make a phone call and check in with somebody real quickly. My wife and I have this practice where we will talk about what we're angry about, what we're afraid of, what we're sad about, what we're hurt by, and then what we're feeling joy. And just by doing that, like as quickly as we can, like in 1 minute, we're just real quickly kind of checking in with ourselves and our emotions and then our body, and that kind of grounds me in the moment. So
Hungry, angry, lonely, I don't know what HALT stands for, but yeah.
yeah. So, when you're what was it like to make a decision to stop driving? How did you decide that driving wasn't a good thing for you?
I had accidents.
Oh, yeah.
Can't afford to pay the tickets, can't afford to pay the insurance.
Wow. You're so graceful about the way you talk about that. It's pretty matter of fact. And is it hard to talk about it that way?
Well, I have not driven for most of my life. I was in a very, very serious car accident when I was 17 years old, and I was paralyzed, and I was unable to drive.
Well, the
When,
good news is now you're not paralyzed.
right.
So we're going to need to take a break. And Jody, you are an inspiration to me. Thank you for sharing your voice with us and our own voice.